Wheelchair Jimmy, and I'm roaming through Chicago today. And I thought I'd give you some wheelchair accessibility tips if you're coming to Chicago for the very first time. You know, I love Chicago. It's a big, fun city, lots of things to do and places to visit. And the good news is that most of the downtown activities are consolidated right downtown along the very level, beautiful waterfront and along Michigan Avenue. Starting with transportation, most of the flights to Chicago come through O'Hare International, which is located about 40 minutes northwest of downtown. O'Hare itself is huge, but very wheelchair accessible. So please allow yourself plenty of time between terminals, as there are many elevators and some very long underground walkways. Wheelchair accessible taxis, Yellow Cab is the best, I think, and van shuttle services are available, but plan in advance and be prepared to wait 45 minutes or so for them to show up. You can also rent your own mobility van in Chicago, but it's about $150 a day. Plus, pickup and drop-off costs are additionally about $100 each. Uber does cover the Chicagoland area, but does not yet provide wheelchair-accessible vehicles. Now, the Chicago Transit Authority does provide wheelchair-accessible mass transit from O'Hare Airport to downtown, but it's a bit cumbersome, at least for me, and it's not recommended. The CTA operates the nation's second largest public transportation system, but to go from the airport to downtown Chicago requires the train and 2 buses and takes at least 2 hours in transit time. Now, what you'll do is you'll take the Blue Line, the L train, from O'Hare to the Jefferson Park Transit Station. That's easy and only takes about 15 minutes. But then you have to transfer to a bus, and if you're trying to get to, say, Michigan Avenue downtown, you'll take 2 different PACE buses. Now, these PACE buses do kneel and they are wheelchair accessible. However, the PACE bus schedule has limited hours, so check the station and bus times and plan in advance. Best bet, grab the first taxi outside the baggage claim or have someone pick you up. Now, a couple other quick notes about Chicago area mass transit. Now, only 100 of the 145 train stations, that's 69%, have wheelchair accessibility. And there could be a lot of steps, flights of steps. So unless you know exactly the route you're going to take, I'd absolutely avoid the Chicago train system. Second, regarding Amtrak, which is located downtown on Canal Street, it's owned and operated by the U.S. government. Now, the Chicago Union Station is a top 10 great public spaces designee and is very wheelchair friendly, with barrier-free platforms, accessible restrooms, elevators, and ticket counters. And third, if you're traveling in a car or a van, especially from the airport, be prepared to pay a lot of toll fees in coins every couple miles. Now, alternatively, you can buy a prepaid iPass, which you mount on the windshield, which is what I recommend, or bring a lot of dimes and quarters and be prepared to make change every couple miles. When you're in Chicago, there are some amazing city attractions, really too many to mention here, but there are some must-visits, and they're all wheelchair accessible. The Field Museum of Natural History, the Shedd Aquarium, and the Adler Planetarium are all located on the Lakefront Museum campus. They are fabulous. There's also the Museum of Science and Industry, the largest science museum in the Western Hemisphere, and my personal favorite. And of course, there's Navy Pier, which is a big tourist draw in Lake Michigan with lots of activities for the whole family. There are accessible restrooms throughout the Navy Pier complex. While you're at Navy Pier, be adventuresome. Consider the Lake Michigan boat tours. The Spirit of Chicago, the Odyssey, and the Mystic Blue Cruise all have accessible restrooms and ramps to the main deck. Now, the second and third decks have steps and are not accessible. And finally, make sure you spend a day along Chicago's Magnificent Mile. It's one of the greatest avenues of the world and is what makes Chicago an international destination. Explore North Michigan Avenue, State Street, the fabulous historic hotels like the Palmer House and the Hilton Chicago, and walk over to Grants Park, which includes Buckingham Fountain, or visit Millennium Park or the Art Institute, or go to the top of the John Hancock Building, the 360 Chicago Observation Deck. All these activities are along level ground with elevators and ramps when necessary and accessible restrooms. And on a clear day, it's one of the most beautiful waterfronts in the world. So come visit Chicago. Bring your whole family. You will love it. And also come visit us at wheelchairjimmy.com, where we cover mass transportation and dozens of properties through the Chicagoland area. We'll tell you which hotels, restaurants, lake cruises, and city attractions are accessible, which are my favorites, and which properties to avoid. Roll on, America!